Welcome to the driver's seat. 6 months ago, we gave you an in-depth overview of the all-new, first-ever, three-row, fully electric Kia EV9. And now we finally get a chance to get behind the wheel and really put it through its paces. 0 to 60, 4.5 seconds. Range up to 300 miles, depending on the configuration you get. But the most important thing, in my opinion, is how it drives, but also the pricing. Back then, I guessed at the pricing, saying, hey, if Kia comes in around mid-50s, tops out, low to mid 70s, they'll have a home run, and that's what they did. $54,900 starting price, as shown here, about $72,000. This thing is comfortable, it's sporty, it's got range, it charges quickly, 10 to 80% in 25 minutes. It really checks all the right boxes, and right now, there's no competition in the same price range. So Kia has put us on a variety of nice roads today to evaluate this EV9. A little bit of highway, a lot of twisty canyon roads like this one, and as expected, it handles quite nicely, plenty of power, very minimal body roll, just a well-executed three-row fully electric crossover. The massaging seats are nice. Definitely a nice touch. Head-up display is large and clear. Everything about this vehicle, it's very simple and easy to drive. And at the end of the day, the litmus test is whether or not this is a proper substitute, a fully electric substitute for the Telluride. And the answer for most people is probably yes. If you do have access to a level 2 charger at home, and I highly recommend that, then yes, this could be a nice substitute for your internal combustion engine Telluride as a fully electric vehicle version. But again, you've got to have access to that level 2 charger. I just think they've nailed it. One complaint I have is this B-pillar here, just where my seating position is. When I look, it's right in my way, and I'm seated properly, proper arm angle, etc. But I just found that this B-pillar is rather large and has been blocking my view whenever I have been trying to see if there's a car next to me. It's very large and it's in the way, but they had to put it somewhere, and it's a minor complaint. If you could put your seat up a little closer, then it's a non-issue. It all depends on you as the driver, and that's why you need to go test drive it. The power distribution on this GT line, which is supposed to be the high volume trim that Kia is going to be selling of the EV9, and it is it's pretty nice. Now, this gets a little bit less range than a couple of the other trim levels, primarily because of the tires. I'm impressed how dialed in the steering is. We've tried the different drive modes. Kia has been doing drive modes for a decade now, and it's a nice touch. Most people are just going to put it in normal and forget about it, and that's more than adequate. But if you did want something a little sportier, you certainly have that option. If the manufacturers can get their charging station situation sorted out, and Kia is in a consortium of 7 other manufacturers to put up 30,000 stations. I guess they've already started. It's kind of a unique shaped steering wheel. It's we've seen flat bottom steering wheels, but this one also has a flat top to it. But it's very substantial, nice and thick, all the proper controls. As you can see, we've got Apple CarPlay, we got also a nice large digital display, head-up display, a lot of technology in this vehicle. But what you want to know about is how it drives, and it's been wonderful. A very rewarding experience. Highway, city, these canyon roads. The EV9 has handled all of them quite nicely. So we're on a country road doing about 80 miles an hour, which is a little excessive, but wanted to demonstrate just how smooth this vehicle is. And it's like I said, when you put the weight of the vehicle lower to the ground, you're just going to get a better driving experience, which is what makes EVs fun to drive. Whether it's on a straightaway, turns, regardless, as long as the suspension and tires and steering kind of match the weight distribution, and in the case of the EV9 it does, then you're going to get a great driving experience. I mean, look how smooth this is. Just effortless driving. Really well done by Kia. This has met and maybe slightly exceeded my expectations. You are now in the driver's seat of the first ever Kia EV9. Even though this is a relatively big vehicle, it's a 3-row crossover, handles quite nicely on these twisty roads. Plenty of power, it's well balanced, very little body roll. We anticipated the vehicle would drive nicely, but we, like most of the electric vehicles we've driven, primarily because most of them have been premium or luxury vehicles, and those tend to be dialed in a lot better than some of the less expensive vehicles. But this vehicle has some uniqueness to it. It's really the first 3-row non-luxury crossover to get into the market. Back in July, we got a chance to examine the vehicle but not drive it, and they didn't give us pricing, but I predicted the pricing would be starting in the mid-50s and topping out low to mid-70s, and sure enough, that's where they came in at. And I think that's a brilliant move. But despite that, and the vehicle just hitting the dealerships a few weeks ago, they're already discounting them. So there's a lot to be said about the electric vehicle market, which is another conversation. What we're going to talk about today is how this vehicle is to drive. And again, I think it looks great, feels solid, comfortable, but still an electric vehicle. But if I was going to buy an electric vehicle, a 3-row crossover, this would be the one. Well, there you have it, the 2024 first ever Kia EV9. Kia tells us that by the end of this decade, 70% of their vehicles are going to be fully electric. They'll have 7 models by 2027. So you have the EV3 coming, EV4, so some smaller ones. There'll be some kind of between this and the EV6, but eventually they're going to fill up that whole EV lineup from 1 to 9. I'm Ron Doran. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on The Driver's Seat.